It's exciting when you start finding these opportunities, but as you do, you need to keep in mind that each one will have their own set of requirements and their own set of qualifying factors. Just because they give money doesn't necessarily mean that they support projects like yours, and even if they do, there's other factors you need to look into before spending time on something that has very little to no chance of getting funded. I want you to be able to find funding, but I want you to waste as little time as possible in doing so. First things first, qualifications. There's some key things that we need to look at before we start filling out applications. The first thing is eligibility. Does this program support institutions and projects like yours? If you're applying for grants to get more materials for your school and you come across a grant program that only supports hospitals or medical needs, you may want to keep looking. Some may only cover certain programs within a school, like STEM initiatives. If you're looking for money for a theater arts program, you may want to keep looking. Unless you have some innovative way that you are tying these two subjects together. This may not be the norm, but if you can make a good argument for your theater arts project that includes STEM, then just make sure you're very clear in the application on how you are connecting those two. Another one to keep in mind is your timeline. Be sure that their granting period aligns with when you need the money. Some organizations have open grant periods and you can apply anytime. Others have specific time frames that they accept applications. Along with that, most organizations will take up to 3 months, if not more, to make a decision on what projects they're supporting. Keep in mind that receiving money isn't a quick process. Most will tell you in their grant descriptions about a timeline for their decisions, but if they don't, be prepared to wait at least 3 months before you hear anything back. Also, keep in mind that the grant money usually needs to be spent within 1 year of receiving the money. If you're planning out a project that will be needing funding but won't be happening for a few years, keep these possible grantors in mind and when their applications open and close. The amount of money you need may also determine if it's a good idea to apply or to move on and find other possibilities. If you're looking to fund a $20,000 project and you come across a grant with a cap amount of $250, in most cases, but not all, you may want to move on. Every little bit helps is absolutely true, but you may want to spend the majority of your time on larger funding opportunities to ensure the viability of your project, then come back to these smaller possibilities to fill any gaps or smaller purchases within your project. Larger projects usually do require multiple grants, but again, not always. We've had $35,000 projects that took several large and small grants, and I've had a $35,000 equipment purchase for a program that only took one grant. There is also the possibility of wasting your time filling out applications for organizations that only fund large projects if you only need $500 to $1,000 for your project. There's no one size fits all. Just use your best judgment based on what you need for your specific project and keep in mind the funding caps as you start looking into grants. The last thing I want to touch on when it comes to qualifying factors is matching funds. Some organizations do require that you match the amount they will be giving you. In some cases, it's 50-50, but not all. It all depends on them. This is important to watch for because if your school or school district can't cover that match, then you will lose that grant funding and the time you spent applying will be wasted. It does take a bit of prep work as you start to formulate your projects and align them to granting opportunities, but it's worth it in the end. Ensuring your project does align with a granting opportunity before applying will absolutely save you time. In the next video, we'll go over SMART objectives as you start to break down your project and lay it out for potential funders.